Child sex trafficking is a brutal crime, breaking down innocent youth, just like any child you may know and love. People putting in the work to fight back say to beat the cycle, it requires community help and parent involvement. Advocates say we can protect children from sex trafficking, but we have to be real about how pimps are getting to children everywhere, even the places you once thought to be the safest, like school or home.
To me, a pimp is an exploitive, disgusting, bottom-feeding maggot.
John Walsh has dedicated his life to catching the world's most cruel criminals. He's seen countless child sex crimes and says pimps know exactly what to do to pull a child into sex trafficking. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department works to catch these predators.
I like to refer to a pimp as big of a sociopath as a serial killer or a serial rapist. There's only two other individuals I can think of that are worse than a pimp.
Equals 2 to the 5th.
Kids are getting picked up by predators in the very places parents thought they were the most safe, like school. And the pimps may look just like them.
Have you heard of that before, where children are being even recruited at school?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Esther Rodriguez Brown, founder of the Embracing Project, is a youth advocate, helping children get out of sex trafficking and stay out and build a better life.
Our kids, all of them go to school. So they talk to each other, they know each other. This is happening more often than people think.
She says it's as easy as a fellow student, boy or girl, befriending your child and gradually grooming them to form a bond. That so-called friend could be hired by a pimp to recruit and eventually get in touch with their child, then sell them for sex. The child often creates a deep attachment to their pimp.
The majority of the time is a trauma bond that is created because they love their perpetrators, they love their traffickers and their pimps, and they do it because of love. They break your spirit. These girls are being forced to have sex every day with an average of 10 to 15 men sometimes, and the money that they are making is, of course, is not going back to them, it's going back to the exploiters.
The victims are mostly young girls. Rodriguez Brown says the average age of entry into sex trafficking is 12 years old. She says the children become convinced they chose this life.
Somehow they believe that they chose to do that, but that's not the case because somebody prey into your vulnerability.
Don't assume it couldn't happen to you. Just because you live in a nice suburb or just because you have an intact family, that it can't happen to you. That your daughter, for example, can't go off the rails, can't be solicited by a pimp.
Law enforcement says Las Vegas attracts sex trafficking. The constant conventions and major events bring in people to a place they think they're free to party and do as they want.
This is the major leagues. Everybody who's working in organized prostitution wants to come here and take a chance because this is where they could potentially make the most money.
Catherine Cortez Masto, former Nevada Attorney General, dedicated herself to fighting sex trafficking in our state.
And the numbers that we've seen in our state when these kids come through, that 60% of them are our own. They're homegrown.
She decided it's time to do more and hold perpetrators accountable.
The problem we had is the pimps were, there was this revolving door through the justice system. They were able to manipulate the system and get out very quickly on probation, circle back to the victim, and scare the victim and prevent them from testifying.
In 2013, the Nevada legislature passed Assembly Bill 67. It establishes the crime of sex trafficking of children and adults, allowing victims to receive assistance and give them the right to sue their traffickers. She's heard many cases and says the public has to open their minds to the young people targeted to participate.
So when we're talking pimps, I'm not talking about a 35-year-old man, a 45-year-old man. Some of our pimps are 18-year-old. 17-year-olds, so they're in the school system.
Police follow the disturbing cases and say there's no specific place it's happening, but it could be right in your own home.
If their kids at home, upstairs, they feel like they're being safe if they're on the computer, surfing the internet, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
The internet provides pimps endless access to impressionable young minds. Advocates say parents are inviting pimps into their home and don't even know it.
Putting a computer in your child's room is like putting a stranger in your child's room. So will you let your 12 years old have a 30 years old man in the room by herself?
People on the front lines of fighting child sex trafficking call on parents and all adults to join the fight with them.
Parent up and be that parent. If your child has a Facebook page, make sure that child friends you. Make sure you know what they're doing. Most kids get on the internet on their smartphones or on a game box. It isn't that old adage, you know, look at what your kids are doing on the computer. That doesn't work anymore. They're way more sophisticated than adults are.
My advice is always the same: be involved in the life of your child, because if you are not involved, somebody else will.
People working to help children get out of sex trafficking say in 2014, 201 young girls and 1 young boy went through juvenile court because of sexual exploitation. But those are only the ones we know of. There are likely many more hidden away in the sad world of child sex trafficking.